This is a bit like the tiny version of the Lost Boys hideout, isn't it? I really like their home, actually. It could just do with a bit of a woman's touch. Tinkerbell turned away from the rain and nodded vigorously, like it was a subject she had thought about often. I used to dream of being a sort of den mother to the Lost Boys, keeping the house neat, maybe sewing a rug and curtains, mending their rather disreputable clothes, being useful and loved and happy, and surrounded by a passel of adoring children. But children grow up, or at least they're supposed to. In my world, like my brother's, and I think I've tried all that anyway, and I'm a bit done. It was funny. She had come to Neverland, but for entirely different reasons now. Not because she was a girl who wanted to take care of others and find a place for herself, but because she was a human who wanted adventure and quest and a reason for getting up in the morning and a purpose in life. To escape the role and futures others wanted for her. Could her life in London have been different in such a way that she wouldn't want to flee to Neverland? She wasn't as brave and strong-willed as those women who went to deepest Africa and the outback of Australia, leaving their families and their daunting detractors. Also, she didn't have money. The world opened up for everyone, girls especially, if there was money. Most of those adventurers were heiresses. Wendy basically ran to the Darling household and knew firsthand the cost of clinging to a respectable middle class. There was no money for jaunts in the outer Hebrides, much less to Africa. So what would make Wendy happy that she could do in London? Tinkerbell was looking at her curiously. Time apparently passed outside Wendy's head, even as ideas and feelings ran around for what seemed like forever inside it. Like time in the realm of the first in Neverland. Sorry, lost in my thoughts. Don't want to be a mother for the Lost Boys anymore, basically. But it would be fun to redecorate their hideout. Like your lovely little apartment. Oh, I just adore it. Tinkerbell smiled prettily. No modesty or self-deprecation at all. If I had a flat of my own, I'd set up a little house for you when you visited. A bit like your place now, Wendy said dreamily, wrapping her arms around her knees. There's a fancy store downtown with the most cunning little furniture for dolls. Tufted sofas and real Persian rugs the size of my hand. They even have tiny pewter dishes and the loveliest little porcelain claw-foot bathtub with a real miniature India rubber stopper. Tinkerbell's eyes widened farther with each item listed. I've never much played with dolls, but I always loved looking out the window of the shop. I could make tiny beeswax candles with cotton thread wicks to put in the tiny silver candelabra they sell. They're almost like jewelry. They're so tiny and sparkling and delicate. Imagine if they really worked. Well, I don't suppose you'd need a candle at night when you're getting ready for bed. You could put yours around with you all the time. Tinkerbell looked at her globe and smiled smugly. Well, anyway, I'd have everything all set up for you. You will come visit when this is all over and I will return home? Despite the newfound, though mild, desire to return to London, the idea of the end of her adventure came down on Wendy hard, as solemn as dreaded end of a perfect summer's day, or eventual of life itself. She looked down at her ragged, dripping dress in wonder. She had been kidnapped, beaten around, almost drowned, nearly trapped in a desert for all eternity. Yet the thought of it all being over was terrifying. The thought of never seeing Tinkerbell again, after they finally began to get to know each other. The little fairy was frowning, but not angrily. It seemed she was considering a thought that was so new and alien to her she automatically distrusted it. Me and Peter, you mean? Us come visit you? Come inside? You needn't bring Peter if it makes you uncomfortable. It's funny, I came all the way to Neverland and haven't even met the boy yet. Still have lots of adventures, but it could just be you know. I would miss you terribly. You could take an afternoon. we would have tea like my mother and the lady she likes. I confess I've never liked the idea of tea out with anyone besides mother before. Besides, I don't have any close friends, and because it's really a little silly. Flower plates and talks of the weather, and only one lump of sugar. I suppose a young woman, and I still think tea tastes awful without at least two. But I still have to put on a good show for the boys. Act like an adult, set an example. Tinkerbell was nodding, obviously a little perplexed as Wendy chattered on, too nervous about her heartfelt administration to do anything besides babble about the inconsequential things afterwards, belittling and dismissing her own deep feelings. As always, the little fairy put a hand on her thumb and patted it. I think I would like that, but we shall see. All right, plans for the future. Better to concentrate on that now, huh? Wendy said, shaking her head free of silly thoughts of fairies coming to London to bed-sit to visit an aging spinster. Let's keep an eye on the rain and leave the moment it lets up. And as the drop fell, the time passed. The two girls from different worlds sat in companionable silence. And that's the end of that chapter. See you later.